Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Having a comfort level with extreme volatility within the crypto asset class is a requirement, or you're not going to make it. Or, if by some miracle you do, you're going to be incapable of sleeping for the duration of your trip in the crypto sphere because you'll have your nerves racked. And I record this at the moment while the crypto market across the board is down. We are in a sea of red, but the red isn't that deep. And so I wanted to share with you the latest opinions from a number of chart analysts that I follow. It's still the case that the vast majority of them do believe that the worst that we're going to see for this portion of the market cycle, it's already occurred. So that crash where Bitcoin got down to about $30,000, that should be the bottom. But many of the analysts that I follow, they acknowledge could go lower. They're just not expecting that. I do have an opinion from one chart analyst I followed that in his most recent tweet sharing his expectations of Bitcoin price action actually suspects that we are going to see some price action to the downside. And so I want to highlight that because that's actually the only chart analyst, not literally the only, just about the only chart analyst I could find that thinks that's going to be the case, which is not a critique. I'm not a chart analyst. I don't pretend to know which way this is going to go. But when I put price videos together, I like to highlight a number of opinions because I love diversity of thought. And also with him, this is his expectation, but even he acknowledges, don't know for sure, as you shall see. But it's interesting too, looking at crypto media and the mainstream media, you actually are finding very frequently people articulating the case that Bitcoin actually is going down, like the bottom's not in yet. And I'll share with you the levels that they're talking about. But when you look at analysts within the world of crypto, I'm really not seeing a whole lot of that, to be honest with you. So you take that for what it's will, but that's just what I'm observing here. Now, I do want to be clear at the outset, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say are right. But specifically as it pertains to XRP, it was basically the most volatile asset of last market cycle. Even though, and it depends on what you mean when you say what's the most volatile asset. Because is it frequently volatile, or are we measuring what had the biggest burst of volatility? Well, if you're talking about the latter, then it was XRP because it had a 78,000% increase. And so while I started the video by saying, hey, look, if you can't handle the volatility, in particular to the downside, when that happens, you're just not going to make it in all likelihood. I wish you the best. I don't know how you're going to pull this off, but the people that can't handle the downside price action, which we are seeing a bit of today, like, you're not going to get to experience the upside when that occurs either, if you're not going to participate. And so I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold. That's just my straight up observation here. And that's why for me, I've never sold a single XRP because I understand that humans are going to cause this volatility. That's not going to change. That's one thing that I think we can all rely upon, is that the volatility will not just like snap of a finger magically go away. I'm counting on that. I want the volatility. Volatility is what creates investment opportunities in the first place. If there weren't any volatility, why would you put your money in whatever is not volatile at all? That wouldn't make any sense. And so when it happens to the upside, yes, we're all thrilled. And so my bet has been, ever since the XRP bubble burst, along with the rest of crypto in the beginning of 2018, my bet has been that at some point the bubble would inflate again, that XRP would hit its all-time high, and then surge into a new realm of price discovery. That's been my bet ever since. And all of the volatility in between, I was expecting that. Not the specifics of when it would go up and down, but just that it would happen. And it would have been weird to me if it didn't, frankly. I would have been concerned. But of course it did. Humans are continuing to behave the same. So I was counting on that to happen. And my bet has been, again, that at some point it would blast off. I wouldn't know when. And so all the volatility in between doesn't impact me emotionally at all. And so I'm just going to sit here and wait. Neither I'm right that XRP is going to hit its all-time high again and then enter a new realm of price discovery, or I'm wrong and maybe it goes to zero, but I don't think that's going to happen. And so everything that happens in between, while it's interesting because I got skin in the game, of course I'm going to pay attention, just like you are, of course. In the end, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter one little baby boo bit. And as I record this, XRP is at 94 cents, Bitcoin down to 35,783. Market cap for the asset class 1.63 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at just a hair over 41%. And look at the crypto fear and greed index. You've got to love this. On a scale of 0 to 100, it's at 24, indicating extreme fear. And we've seen it a little bit worse recently. The lowest I personally saw when I was checking this website within the last week or so, I believe it was at 10. And so historically, when you see these fear levels, that can indicate a good buying opportunity. Whereas when it's on the flip side, you're closer to 100, extreme greed, that could be an indication that the market's overhyped, overheated, and there could be, at some point in the not too distant future, a crash downward. And so usually that's not the best time to buy. And so seeing where it is right now, I'm just thinking, for everybody that is not ridiculously afraid, like for people that understand that volatility is just a piece of this and they want to grow their portfolio, they've just been buying the fear from the people that are selling it. Because that's what's happening. If you're selling your crypto here because you're afraid, you're basically selling fear. And you better ask who's buying your fear and why. Why aren't they afraid? Because there's somebody at the other end of that transaction that has a substantially higher level of chill than you do, in all likelihood, right? And so here's chart analyst Credible Crypto, now up to 212,000 followers. Props to this gentleman right here. He put out a new video on YouTube, about 38 minutes long, and I checked it out. Fantastic video, and I'm not going to rehash his full-on analysis, but I do want to share the sentiment, which is he feels very strongly the bottom's in. The bottom, from his perspective, just about 100% certainty that it's in. There's never 100% sure, and he articulated his case why. But he's expecting at least one other major leg up, which is actually something you hear the likes of like Blockchain Backers have been talking about as well, my fellow XRP YouTuber. But Credible Crypto, he's saying, frankly, he's expecting Bitcoin this market cycle to go to $110,000. That's his target. And just mind you, if that happens, that if Bitcoin goes that high, that just means that the altcoins are going to go that much higher than where they are right now. And that's just why, look, we're all adults, we get to make our own decisions, but I kind of sometimes feel a little bit bad for the people that, their emotions get the best of them and they sell it at times like this when it's down. And then when things rocket up, they're regretting it, but we all got to make our own decisions, right? And so it was interesting seeing that, but and he was also articulating something. I noticed this in his video. He was talking about this, one of the ideas that I was talking about within the last several days or so, which is that each market cycle that you see, although you do get higher dollar levels in terms of increase, you actually have less volatility and less percentage gains from one market cycle to the next. And logically it makes sense, because once there's money in the space, you can think about how much it would take to double the market cap of the space. And then once you've doubled that, if you want to double again, how much money has to flow in? Like a ton of money. And so you get to this point where you do get slower percentage growth, but the dollars still get absolutely outrageous. And I spoke about this a little bit more in depth, so I'm not going to go further in this particular video on that topic. But he pointed out the same thing here. It's just a fact of life, which is why, even though XRP did increase over 78,000% last market cycle, I wouldn't expect anywhere near that this particular market cycle. But even with the percentage being lower, you could still have outrageous prices compared to where XRP is right now. Because even if XRP goes, say XRP matches Ethereum's all-time high market cap, which occurred a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was. I think it was April, when Ethereum got up to $4,300 or so. If XRP matches that market cap, which is what happened last market cycle, you'd expect XRP to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $11. Well, that's about a 9,000% increase compared to the bottom, because the bottom of this market cycle for XRP was 11 cents. And so considering that's still a massive increase. 9,000%. You can't get that anywhere else on the planet. But if Bitcoin goes up to these types of levels where you're talking about, okay, 110,000, well, maybe Ethereum does go up to $10,000 then if Bitcoin's going that high, because Bitcoin leads the market. And if that happens, then you might be sitting there going, okay, well, if XRP is going to match Ethereum, what does that look like? Because Ethereum would have $1 trillion market cap at about $10,000. And so if XRP matched that, which it did last market cycle, then you might expect closer to whatever the number is. It'd be, I can't remember now, $20 or $25 XRP. You have to crunch the numbers to figure out, but it would be somewhere there about. That wouldn't sound wacky to me in the least, because money just, once it exits Bitcoin, because mind you, all the money that gets invested in crypto starts at Bitcoin, but then once it splinters off, it drops down to a number of other cryptocurrencies. It doesn't all go to one cryptocurrency, which is why you're not going to see this market cycle Bitcoin be supplanted in terms of market cap. But if Bitcoin goes up that much higher, yeah, why couldn't you see $1 trillion market cap for XRP? I'm not predicting it, but I'm just saying, because I don't know. I don't know, but I won't be surprised in the least if that actually happens here. Now, Michael Vandepop wrote the following, another chart analyst here. So far, we're not seeing a bear market for altcoins and their Bitcoin pairs. Both Cardano and Ethereum are doing really well. I'm expecting them to accelerate even more the moment Bitcoin finishes this entire downtrend. And so I wanted to highlight that, even though it's not about coins that I frequently talk about, Cardano and Ethereum, and I actually do hold both of those, by the way, but it's the market moves in tandem, okay? And so if they're going to move up, it's not going to just be them. Even though the whole market doesn't move literally at the same time, it's not down to like the second, the minute, the day, the week, so on and so forth. The market does move in tandem. And then there was this from Il Capo, another popular chart analyst, who simply wrote, "Only up from here," which is mostly the sentiment I'm seeing from the chart analysts that I follow. Which doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. I'm not pretending like it is, but if I had to bet, I just feel like whatever the general like groupthink is in terms of likely direction for the asset class, it's in a general sense, it's usually correct, even if they disagree on exactly what those levels look like. In a general sense, it's usually about right. So if I were a betting man, I'd probably bet on the general direction being correct most of the time. Or, well, I'd bet on it every time with the understanding that most of the time it would be accurate, and then there would be some outliers where the groupthink wouldn't be accurate, but I'd still rather vote with the group on the whole. So that's why if that's what they're saying likely to the upside, I'm listening, I'm thinking, okay. Including Peter Brandt here, by the way. Now, Peter Brandt, this guy, what a following here. 528,000 followers on Twitter. He's very famous within the world of crypto. He's frequently called a legendary trader. He's got several decades of experience as a trader. And so within the world of crypto, he got very active. At some point, I don't know exactly when he jumped in, but he really gained a massive following, and he's famous for a number of things, and not the least of which would be calling the top of Bitcoin during the last market cycle at almost $20,000, and accurately calling the bottom in December 2018 when it got down to I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 or 3,300 bucks, something like that. He was right about both of those. So, it doesn't mean he's right about everything. Nobody is. No chart analyst is. You shouldn't have that expectation. This is not wizardry. It's about probability of outcomes. And so Peter Brandt wrote the following. Big picture perspective on owning Bitcoin in appropriate size with money you can afford to lose. Market topped at $64,700. Market corrected to $30,000. Worst I can envision, $21,000. So look, it's not that he thinks that's going to happen. He's acknowledging the very worst I could even conceive of would be that. And then he wrote, why would someone bail out of non-leveraged longs when the market already had 80% of worst case drop? Exactly. And so he's making the case for, basically hodling. Like from this point on, what would the odds tell you is more likely? That we actually do drop a lot lower, or that we proceed to the upside after this massive correction? And that's basically the point that he's getting at. Now to Leb Crypto, who does think that some bearish activity is more likely. He's not predicting with 100% certainty it's going to happen, so I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I'm going to read what he wrote here. But here's what he shared this afternoon. After 4 buy opportunities off the trend line, is it time to say buy upon the next test? Reason for a probable downward price action. Basically, he's got a little emoji indicating chart going down. Number 1, bearish trend. 2, a symmetric triangle suggests continuation. And 3, price action coiling to the apex of a triangle usually suggests a breakdown rather than up. And so when he's talking about the apex of the triangle, he's talking about right here at the little point, right where I am circling my mouse on the screen. And then he wrote, let's see what happens. A breakout is certainly imminent. And so since you're getting to this final point within the symmetrical triangle, something's going to happen. Even I know that. I'm not pretending to be a chart analyst, but I've been following the chart analyst enough to know that when you get to this little point right here within a symmetrical triangle, something's going to happen, damn it. And so is it going to be to the upside, to the downside? I don't know, but continuation 100% sideways seems likely because you can see the range is getting more narrow, more narrow, more narrow, and then something ultimately typically will happen. So there you go. That's about as negative as it gets, and he's not saying for sure that's going to happen. He's saying let's see. Then we've got this from Bitcoinist.com, and I don't want to read the article, but I just want to share with you the type of information that I'm seeing within media. This one's titled J.P. Morgan, More Gloomy Days Ahead for Bitcoin. Okay, are you here's the thing. I gotta admit, like, when I see big names that are involved in Bitcoin and crypto, like big names, whether it's a hedge fund or a billionaire or this or that, it's sometimes I don't talk about this much, but sometimes I'm skeptical about the things I see from them, and I think for good reason, because I have seen indications, and every now and then I've talked about a little bit on this channel, where the types of things that they share in terms of directionally where they think they're going to go, you just think it's so out of whack with what anyone with half a brain is actually thinking is reasonable. And then you're just kind of like, is it just because you are big and influential, covered by media, and you want to try and suppress the price? And that stuff does cross my mind. I think some people do have that type of intent. I mean, you could even think like Goldman Sachs. They were talking about how like there was no crypto asset class in May of last year, and then in May of this year, not even one whole year later, actually, they jumped in and found a way to make money in crypto. Now they're all for it. Like, so it's like, what? When it comes to those types of entities, I'm just like, what the hell are we supposed to trust here? Then there's this too. This is from You Today. Fidelity's Jurian Timmer, whose name I probably said wrong, says Bitcoin could drop to $23,000. And so this is about as negative as I can find. And so I'm always happy to cover the positive and the negative, even though I get crap either side. If I cover stuff that's negative, how come you're so negative? You need to cover positive stuff. Or if I'm covering positive stuff, because that's what I'm seeing, how come you're not talking about negative? Like you're not being real hype. And it's just, all right. Well, it's 100% impossible to win. You can't satisfy everybody. But that's just the nature of what it is to run a channel like this. You're going to get people with all sorts of interesting opinions all over the place, which can make it fun. And that's just kind of where it is. But yeah, so if it drops, it drops. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do if that happens. You know what I'm going to do? Nothing. I'm going to go on with my damn life. I'll keep running the YouTube channel. I'm not going to sell anything, though. My gosh. Because that's why I keep saying too. Like, first of all, I firmly believe that even if you see a drop, like I don't believe for a second the bull market's over. Like because even like Lub Crypto, pick your analyst. Like it's super hard to find somebody that really firmly believes the top is in. Good luck finding somebody that believes that. Which means even if you see a drop, it's still going to shoot up at some point. But even if the top were in, well, you know what I do, right? Do you know at this point? Nothing. I would hold, even if that means waiting 3 or 4 years or who knows how long until the next bull market for crypto. That's what I'd do. Because I sure as hell am not going to sell it at levels that are not appealing to me, especially after it's gone down. Ain't no damn chance. So that's where we're at. But as far as XRP, yeah, there's going to be extreme volatility. And there will always be some to the downside. Of course, we saw XRP recently at $2 and now a little below $1. Okay, womp womp. I bought it at 15 cents last year, so I mean, I'm still not crying about it. Most of the last 3.5 years, I was down in my investment in XRP and all of crypto. Most of the last 3 years. And I knew it didn't matter, though. I felt this strongly about that because eventually I firmly believed there would be another bull market. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I'm down right now. It doesn't matter. Just like right now, if the market's really going to go up, if you think it is, what the hell does it matter if we're range bound and you're below where you bought it? Like, does it matter? For me, the answer is no. Like, I just don't give a damn. I really don't. But But yeah, if you can't handle this, good luck. If you can't, I mean, it's just it is a requirement to be successful in this space. Unless you're an outlier where you're like you find success, but you're miserable the whole time and can't even sleep. Maybe there's somebody like that, but mostly I think no, people are just going to get out if they can't. They can't handle it, I suspect. But I'll wrap up there. I'm not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.